It just so happens Ian Austin's here. It's personal.
Well, it is, isn't it? I mean, well, I joined the Labour Party as a teenager in Dudley. I was a councillor there in my 20s. I worked for the party and for the Labour government in my 30s, and I became an MP and a government minister in my 40s. So this has been my life. This has been my life. I can't really believe it's come to this, but I've got to be honest with people. I think that Jeremy Corbyn is unfit to lead the Labour Party. I think he's certainly unfit to lead the country. The country faces a big choice. There's only two people who can be Prime Minister on December the 13th. And sadly, I've come to the conclusion that it can't be Jeremy Corbyn. And so on that basis, I think people should vote for Boris Johnson. And I think that this is a choice the British people face. And I could just disappear off back to Dudley, never say a word, keep quiet. But I think people in politics have got to stand up and tell the truth. And you've got to do what you think's right, however difficult it is.
Why do you think he's unfit to lead the country?
I think he spent, people like him and John McDonnell spent their whole time in politics, working with, defending, supporting all sorts of extremists, in some cases anti-Semites and terrorists. I think at every opportunity he backs our country's enemies, whether that's the IRA during the Troubles, or calling Hamas and Hezbollah his friends, or parroting Putin propaganda when the Russians sent hitmen to murder people on the streets of Britain. I think that, I don't think he loves this country. I don't think he's a patriot. I really don't, I'm afraid. I've thought about this long and hard. But most shamefully of all, Kay, you know, under his leadership, a political party with a proud record, a long history, fighting for equality, fighting racism, has become poisoned with anti-Jewish racism, and it is a complete and utter disgrace. It's a complete disgrace. And I know what Rebecca's got to say and all that, but there's no way they've dealt with this. And some of the people they're selecting as candidates, even over the last few days, have said and done things which are unacceptable. And Jeremy himself, by the way, has said and done things which are anti-Semitic.
But why nail your colours to the mast and say vote Conservative? I mean, the Conservatives are not without guilt when it comes to Islamophobia. The Prime Minister wrote an article which caused significant issues to women wearing burqas who had letters thrown at them when he described them as letterboxes. He's lied. He's been sacked twice for lying. Why would you support him?
Well, look, I'm not a Tory, and I'm not here to defend these things, and
But you are saying vote Conservative.
Yeah, but look, there's a choice there, isn't there? The country faces a choice. The British people have got to decide this.
There are other parties.
There's only two people who can be Prime Minister on December the 13th, Jeremy Corbyn or Boris Johnson. That is, in the end, the choice, Kay. Look, I've agonised over this. I mean, this has been the toughest thing I've had to face up to and think about.
How long did it take you to decide?
Look, I've been thinking about this for a while. I decided finally... Well, we were delivering leaflets in Dudley over the weekend whilst I was still agonising over this decision. I decided over the last couple of days, sort of the weekend, the beginning of the week. But look, I'm not going to defend what Boris Johnson said. I wouldn't use those words. But to be fair to him, I think he was actually in that article defending women's rights to wear the burqa if that's what they wanted to do. Now, and this issue of Islamophobia in the Tory party, of course it's got to be dealt with. Of course that's got to be dealt with. But look, Sajid Javid, Nusrat Ghani, they've not been chased out of the Tory party by racists, which is what's happened to, Luciana Berger or Louise Ellman, or the way they tried to target Margaret Hodge. And I think that there is an issue.
There is an issue. Said that they're working on it.
Oh, come on. There is an issue. It's got
Do you not believe her?
Well, just on this Tory thing, there is an issue. It's got to be dealt with. But I think when people compare it with what's happened to the Labour Party, it minimises the scandal. This is an institutional problem in the Labour Party. The Labour Party is the first political party in history to be subject to full investigation by the Equality and Human Rights Commission. I mean, it's completely shameful. Almost 9 out of 10 of Britain's Jewish community think Jeremy Corbyn's anti-Semitic. Only 6% of Jewish people would consider voting Labour at this election. Now, you've got to ask yourself, if a political party has caused such huge offence and distress to one of Britain's communities, whose side are you on? Whose side are you on? When it comes to racism, I know what my responsibility is. This is a basic question of what's right and what's wrong. I think this is a really fundamental issue, and if you're not going to stand up and tell the truth and do what's right on something like racism, what are you going to do it on? What are you going to do it on?
Do you think that's why Tom Watson's standing down?
I mean, look, Tom's a good guy. He's a good friend of mine. I talk to him all the time. I think this, I mean, look, if Tom thought Jeremy Corbyn was fit to be Prime Minister, and if he thought there was a prospect of if he thought he could be in a Labour cabinet as a number 2 in a few weeks, would he be doing this? But I know from conversations I've had with Tom how appalled he is about what's happened with anti-Semitism in the Labour Party. I know that.
What about the timing of both you and Tom Watson doing what you're doing? Is it designed to damage the Labour Party or Jeremy Corbyn when they're most vulnerable?
Well, I didn't discuss the timing of Tom's announcement with him. I didn't do that. I mean, is it designed to damage the Labour Party? I don't know. I mean, the Labour Party's been my life, but the damage has been done. The damage has been done. This party under Jeremy Corbyn is unfit to lead the country. And certainly, I want to do everything I can to stop Jeremy Corbyn getting into number 10. I do this with a really heavy heart. It's the most awful thing. And there are friends of mine, you know, who will feel betrayed. Good friends of mine who are standing as Labour candidates are going to feel betrayed and upset. But in politics, you know, you've got to face up to tough decisions and you've got to do what you think is right. And the country faces a choice. And this, by the way, this has happened on our watch, right? We have a responsibility for this. I could say something to do with me and walk away from it all. But in the end, we've allowed this to happen in the Labour Party. And we've got to take responsibility for it. And I do not want him to do to the country what I think he's done to the Labour Party.
You've described him as poisonous.
Yeah, I think he's poisoned. I think the Labour Party has been poisoned with extremism, intolerance and anti-Semitism under his leadership.
Why not stay and fight? You know, what does it mean for centrist members of the party who have rallied behind you when you were there and behind Tom Watson, and now they're seeing you jumping ship and they're left behind?
Well, look, I didn't leave the Labour Party to join another party. I didn't do that in February. I left to shine a spotlight on what's happening in the party and to demand other people step up and do something about it. And I've been fighting about this and arguing about this. Well, people said to me, Ian, you've got to stay and fight. I said, where's the fight? You know, you want me to stay and fight, you better start fighting. I mean, I didn't walk away from this fight. And I'm not going to I've formed a new organisation. It's not a political party. It's a cross-party thing and it involves people from outside politics. It's mainstreamuk.org, and that's a campaign against extremism on the far left and the hard right. And we're going to be standing up for decent, mainstream, responsible values in British politics. And I'm going to be working with that and doing everything I can to sort of rid politics of extremism and racism.
What would you say to other members of the Labour Party and other Labour MPs?
Well, look, friends of mine, I'm really sorry about this, you know. I know how they'll be feeling, I know how furious and angry they'll be. They're fighting elections, I know how tough that is. You're out on doorsteps and trying to persuade people and you've got me doing this. I mean, you know, but in the end, I think Jeremy Corbyn's unfit to be our Prime Minister. I think it's a really important election. And I think voting for anybody other than Jeremy Corbyn risks that happening, you know.
And how comfortably does it sit with you, finally, in campaigning, which is what you're doing, campaigning for the Conservatives?
I mean, look, you know, I'm not a Conservative. This isn't where I wanted to be. It's the last thing I thought could have happened. I spent my life in the Labour Party. They're going to be lifelong friends of mine who probably never speak to me after the... I mean, you know, it's not about me, this, right?
You're clearly upset, though.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, it's a massive thing. It's a massive thing, Kay. I could not have believed it would have come to this.
You seem quite broken by it.
Oh, you know, it's heartbreaking. I think what's happened to the Labour Party is heartbreaking, I'll be honest about it. You know, I think it's a disaster. I think it's a disaster for the Labour Party, and it's a disaster for our country. And it's a really difficult choice. But decent, mainstream, patriotic Labour voters have got to ask themselves whether Jeremy Corbyn, who supported terrorism, supported extremism, backs our country's enemies, whether he can be trusted to lead it. And I just don't think he can. I just don't think he can. And what's all right? I disagree with loads of things the Conservative government's done. Of course I do. But in the end, I wouldn't say that they're unfit to run the country. I wouldn't say that. And I do think Jeremy Corbyn is. And I've got to be honest about it. I've got to be honest about it. There we are.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right.